Hi, here is a review for a book called Lies by T.M. Logan. Okay, I've got a lot to say about this book, so I'm simply going to start with the blurb. When Joe Lynch stumbles across his wife driving into a hotel car park while she's supposed to be at work, he's intrigued enough to follow her in. And when he witnesses her in an angry altercation with a family friend Ben, he knows he ought to intervene. Just as the confrontation between the two men turns violent, just as the confrontation between the two men turns violent and Ben is knocked unconscious, Joe's young son has an asthma attack and Joe must flee in order to help him. When he returns, desperate to make sure that Ben is okay, he's horrified to find that Ben has disappeared. And that's when Joe receives the first message. Okay, like I said, a lot to say about this book. First thing I'll say is grab a cup of coffee, shut the TV off, find something to do with the kids if you have little kids, and settle in for a long read. Maybe not a long read, but certainly a nonstop read, because that's exactly what happened with me. This is a story that's filled with characterizations like contempt, hate, jealousy. Yes, these are the things that are the basis for the story. Remember, it's called Lies. Now, it begins with Joe driving home with his son after picking him up from school, and they notice his wife Mel's car. And Joe decides to follow the car into this hotel parking lot, and he notices his wife is in a vicious argument or an obvious argument with somebody named Ben. He hurries after his wife, but she gets away before she sees him, so he confronts Ben. Well, the two of them get into a fight. He hits Ben. Ben hits the ground. As Joe's about to attend to Ben to make sure Ben is okay, his little boy has an asthma attack. Joe's faced with, should I deal with my son or should I deal with this man? Well, quite naturally, he deals with his son. He rushes away to treat his son's asthma attack. His son is now okay, and now he goes back to check on Ben. What happens when he gets there? Ben's gone, completely gone. Not only is Ben gone, but Joe realizes almost immediately that his cell phone is gone too. Where is it? What happened to it? Well, right away, he starts receiving Facebook messages or noticing Facebook messages that apparently come from him. Okay? Someone is posting as him. Okay? Obviously, we see right away that there's some kind of nefarious activity being planned, and he is about to be put in the middle of some huge, huge mess. Okay? Now, the very end of chapter 1 states that Joe made a spur of the moment decision that would change his life forever. Two quotes that really jumped out at me in the book were the hijacking of my life on social media, because that's what happened. And another quote that jumped out at me was, everything you know is a lie. This book is a little different because social media is key. It's referred to over and over again. And also, by the way, the story is told from Joe's point of view, strictly from his point of view. Now, while Joe is trying to figure out what happened to Ben, we find out why Joe really, really must find out what happens, because remember, that spur of the moment decision he made to follow his wife, that changed his life. And as we read the book, we're going to see how his life was changed. It was changed drastically, dramatically, turned upside down even. Well, needless to say, I could not put this book down. I literally read 430 odd pages straight through, cover to cover. Just a couple of hours, 2-3 hours, and I was done. There were so many twists and turns and red herrings, I just didn't know what was up. I couldn't put it down because I really wanted to know what happened. Why is why is Joe being painted as a bad guy? What happened to Ben? What's going to happen to Joe? What about Joe's wife Mel? Why was she arguing with Ben in the first place? Oh my goodness, there's so many layers in this book. The precision that it was written in was on point. It was fast-paced, it was riveting, the characters were amazing, and I just couldn't put it down. I'm going to bring up again the use of social media and cell phones. A huge part of the story, very appropriate for the time that we live in today. Let's see. What else can I say about the book? I'll say two other things about the book. The first thing I'll say is the ending. I couldn't have saw the ending coming if I read the book slowly, slower, page by page. Even though I just could have never saw the ending coming. That was exceptional. Another thing I'll say about this was a debut title from this author. If I didn't say his name, which I don't remember if I said it, but I believe I did, T.M. Logan. This was a debut author. It was from St. Martin's Press. I want to thank St. Martin's Press. I got it via NetGalley, and I read it on my Kindle. It was a great read. He wrote another book called 29 Seconds, which I haven't read, but I most certainly will be reading because he's an author that I will definitely be following, and I look forward to reading more about what he writes. That's it. Quick review, great book. Don't miss it. I challenge you. I love saying when I say challenge you, I don't think anybody is going to want to miss this book. If you like great psychological thrillers, you don't like violence, but you want to get into someone's mind or in the minds of these characters who can do these purported and twisted things, then this is a book that you're going to enjoy. Okay, I'm going to link the book below. I'll also link it to Amazon, and as an associate, I will use that link so that if you decide to buy the book, then you can choose whether or not you want to add a few pennies to my Amazon account so that I can do what? Buy more books. Okay, that's it. Have a good one. Bye.